Well, hello you wonderful people, I'm Amy or AWayfaringFrog and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. Today we're actually doing a bit of an ad hoc video rather than my usual speed builds that I post every Sunday, just because I really felt like creating a starter home in the new world of Nordhaven, and I didn't really want to do this as a full video on Sunday because it just feels like these kinds of builds are way too simple. I don't think they're that interesting to watch as a result, so I wanted to have it as an extra video rather than kind of the main video that I post on the channel. So here it is. And as you can see, we are decorating in the more traditional area of Nordhaven, so we're going for this kind of classic townhouse shape. And I was really inspired to use this purple door. It's actually the only item in the game that has this really lovely purple swatch. And I don't understand why they did that because it's so pretty. I think it would be really nice to have some of the windows to match it and maybe even some of the furniture to have this same color swatch. But alas, it is just that one door. So I decided to use it, and as you can see, I did originally have red as the exterior color, but I changed that to yellow because it just felt like it tied in a little bit better. And of course there is no purple paint color with the new pack, so I went for yellow instead to kind of match the gold accents from the door. This build is also going to be limited pack. I limit it just to the base game and Businesses and Hobbies. So if you did want to download it and you only have the new expansion pack, then you can absolutely grab it and play with it. So hopefully that helps. I just thought it would be a bit of fun to do a limited pack build and try out all of the new items. It's not something I normally do because I just like having access to all of the items that are available in the game, but it was a fun little challenge, and yeah, I did really enjoy doing the style of build as well. But as always, if you did want to download it, it is available on the Sims 4 gallery just under my EAID, AWayfaringFrog. It's also under the hashtag AWayfaringFrog, and the information for that is all in the description down below. But now at this stage, we are just kind of creating the layout for the interior. I end up having the bottom floor very open plan. I do also shrink it slightly, so at the moment there is a door to get into what will be a kind of studio section. That's going to be the area for the business that your sim wants to run, and I do decorate it for a potter in this particular one. I know I've been doing that quite a bit, but I think it's just such a fun new hobby to have, and I really love being able to create items in the game and then decorate my house with them. So I just find pottery is much more fun and versatile in that regard than creating the little tattoo paintings that your Sims can do. So that's why I added in pottery. But if you did want to download this as a starter home and have a different kind of business, you could just delete the pottery items in that room and then replace them with whatever you wanted. I was also keen to try and use as many of the new items as possible, so I did gravitate towards all of those as I was decorating. And the interior ends up being really bright because I wanted to use a different rug to what I've been using when I've built recently, and the super vibrant fish-shaped rug I've never used, and it tied in the yellow really well, and the pink fish sort of matched the purple of the door, so I figured that one would fit nicely into this particular build. I also end up using one of the base game side tables as kind of like a TV bench, although there isn't a TV in this house because I can't afford that. But I felt like despite it being a different kind of purple, it does kind of tie the door in kind of well. So hopefully you agree when we get to that. But I do kind of jump around the entire build as I'm figuring out what items I want to use and whether or not I can afford them. So I'm just jumping into the bathroom, and it's quite simple. I just include the bare necessities from the base game, really. I did want to add in a little bit of fun, so I grabbed this base game mirror, which looks like a cloud with little love heart eyes. And I think that came from a CC creator in an update where one of the anniversaries of The Sims 4, a few CC creators got items officially added into the game. So I think that's where that one's from. I can't quite remember though, but I just really liked it and I don't use it very often, so I thought it was fun. And then into the hobbies room, I was a bit optimistic and thought I'd try and squeeze in this whiteboard for your Sims to be able to teach other Sims about various activities, but it just wasn't going to fit with everything else that you needed for pottery, so Like I mentioned, if you did want to do a different kind of hobby in this build, if you did want to grab it off the gallery, then you can just delete the pottery items and fit that one back in, because it does fit. It's just very tight if you include that. I'm also building this on the old Torget house lot, so I think this is the one in the game that already comes with a starter home, but because I hadn't built here yet, I did just go ahead and bulldoze that so I could try building here myself. And as for the wallpaper, by the way, I was more just paying for a wallpaper so that I knew I could afford it. It's not all going to stay yellow. That was just the intention so that I didn't spend too much money. So I did keep flicking back to see how much it cost, just to make sure that I wasn't going over budget. As you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, I didn't set the budget that way. So I do make sure to double check on the gallery every time. And I think it does come close to being 20,000 simoleons. I did do my best to make sure there was enough for you to open your business, but there's not enough for you to buy a business, because I think that costs about 750 simoleons, and then you need to open it spending 75 simoleons. So I just made sure there was enough room for the 75. And the bedroom ends up being very pink. I'm not sure how that happened, given that the rest of the build is much more yellow, but I just really wanted to use this bed, and because there wasn't a lot of furniture in here since I couldn't really afford it, it just kind of ended up being super pink instead. I also really wanted to use this new wallpaper because I think it's a lot of fun, but it just wasn't working in this room for me. So I ended up just adding it into the hallway instead, and in the bathroom, just as a way to use it. It's just so patterned. I find it a bit difficult to be able to incorporate. So I'll try and include it in a few places. There's also a black variant as well. I think that's a lot of fun, and hopefully I'll get around to using that at some point too. But it looks like I might have lied about the fact that there wasn't a TV in this build. It seems there is. So it's just a small one that doesn't cost a lot, but as you can see, I've now got that TV bench, which is a base game item, and I put it in the purple swatch just to try and bring that over. Ignore the purple rug underneath the dining table as well, that does go away. I just thought it might be nice to bring in some more of it, but I ended up thinking it looked a little bit weird and I needed the money back, so I ended up deleting that one. But I do just add a few bookshelves under the stairs so that the room doesn't look so empty. And I really like these little graffiti items. They don't cost a lot either. I think it was just about 15 simoleons. So I added that into the pottery room so that there's just some nice artwork. I don't really end up adding any artwork to the rest of the house though, to be honest. But I don't think it's too obvious. And obviously with a starter home, there's always going to be some areas that are lacking in regards to decor. So if you did want to play in it, you can always earn the money in order for you to be able to afford nicer things like having some decorations. But we are now outside, and you might have seen me add like a little planter item out at the front next to the front door. And that's actually just from Debug, so that's totally free. So I made sure to include that. And then I really wanted to use these fairy lights. They're normally from toddler stuff, but the Debug of Businesses and Hobbies does actually have these lights in them as well. So I thought that would be fun to incorporate. And that kind of helped structure the exterior of the build as well. So I end up having a bit of a bike park on the right hand side of the building. And then there's a couple of little bike park sections next to this gate into the back garden. And I envisioned this back garden being residential, so just for whoever lives here rather than being for the community. But I really went hard for the debug to be able to make the area look full and not completely empty. So I do also grab several bushes from Debug to include out here so that it just looks a little bit more vibrant. At the moment it feels very bland and empty, and I just really didn't like how that looked. And I do also include some of these tree cages so that I can add a few trees here and there into the build. And also, if you're wondering where those tree cages come from, they are just from Debug. There are some in the base game Debug catalog, and then also in Businesses and Hobbies, so I just grabbed them from there. And now we are creating a little section to make these fairy lights look a bit more intentional. So as I mentioned, there's a couple of little bike park spots here, and then I used some debug bushes just to line the area. It was a bit difficult though, because a lot of the debug bushes have a really funny texture to them, so I didn't want to use those. And I love these ones, but they didn't size down quite enough, so they're a bit bulky here. But again, if you did want to play in this a lot as a starter home and then build up from there, you absolutely could just replace those with the normal catalogue bushes at some stage. So it's all kind of a work in progress, which I think is part of the fun of having a starter home and actually playing with your Sims to earn the money as you go, rather than just buying a house outright. Or I suppose cheating for a house outright would be the more common scenario. But in the back garden as well, that kind of reminds me, I do end up putting some furniture because it felt way too empty to not include anything there. But at this point, I also didn't have any money left and I didn't really want to take anything out from the inside. So I do go ahead and kind of add in a little table area, but it's from Debug, so it's not functional. So that umbrella and then the table and 3 chairs that I've included, none of them are usable by your Sims. They can't sit on them or interact with them. It is just Debug. So that is, again, something you probably want to replace as you earn money. But now we are coming to the end of the speed build portion of the video. So if you have enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and enable notifications so you'll know when I next upload a video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the screenshots and have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.